Have you ever wondered why the cry, "Remember the Alamo," still resonates today? In 1835, Texas was in turmoil. Anglo-American settlers and Tejano allies pushed back against Mexican President Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna's centralizing regime. When Texian forces captured San Antonio de Bexar in December 1835, many volunteers went home, believing the war was over. But Colonel James Clinton Neal knew the fight had just begun and garrisoned the mission known as the Alamo, an old Spanish church with thick walls but limited provisions. Two roads from Mexico converged at Bexar, making the Alamo a critical early warning outpost. Without reinforcements, the small garrison faced a looming threat from Santa Anna's armies. Neal wrote that his men were in a torpid, defenseless condition and begged the provisional government for supplies. This is where legends like James Bowie, William B. Travis, Davy Crockett, and Tejano Captain Juan Seguin would soon converge. For more epic history, smash that like button and follow for part 2. What makes a legend? Sometimes it's simply refusing to leave. Narration. January 1836. General Sam Houston considered demolishing the Alamo and moving its cannons to safety, but Governor Henry Smith refused. Houston sent James "Jim" Bowie to remove the artillery. Instead, Bowie and Neal decided the mission could be a fortress and appealed to Smith. Volunteers and regulars trickled in. Bowie, a famed adventurer, and Neal began fortifying the crumbling walls. On February 3rd, 26-year-old William B. Travis arrived with a small cavalry contingent only 30 horsemen. Bowie and Travis clashed over command, but after a brief power struggle, they agreed to share authority. Green B. Jameson, the fort's engineer, placed cannons along the walls, boasting they could whip 10 to 1 with artillery, while Neal pleaded for reinforcements. The stage was set. A patchwork army of settlers, Tejanos, and frontiersmen prepared for a siege at the mission called the Alamo. Hit like and subscribe to see who arrives at the fort next. Imagine legendary frontiersman Davy Crockett strolling into a dusty mission with a fiddle ready to fight and entertain. February 1836. Frontier icon Davy Crockett, recently out of Congress, arrived at the Alamo with Tennessee volunteers around February 8th. With him came his famous long rifle and a larger-than-life personality. Crockett joined a diverse garrison: American volunteers, regular soldiers, and Tejano defenders like Juan Seguin, Gregorio Esparza, Carlos Espalier, and Brígido Guerrero. Seguin commanded a company of Tejanos and was dispatched as a courier on February 25th. Leaving about 15 of his men behind to aid in the Alamo's defense. Fort engineer Green Jameson continued strengthening walls, while Almiron Dickinson drilled the artillery crews. By this point, the defenders numbered roughly 150 to 200, undersupplied and outnumbered, but united by determination. Their spirits ran high. While Crockett was entertaining the men with stories and fiddle tunes, the reality was stark. Santa Anna's army was marching north in huge numbers. A storm was coming. Remember the names of these heroes. Catch the next episode for the siege's dramatic start. What would you do when a red flag of no quarter waves over your town? February 23rd, 1836. Mexican President and General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna arrived at San Antonio de Bexar earlier than expected, vowing revenge for his brother-in-law's earlier defeat at Bexar. Santa Anna raised a blood-red flag from San Fernando Cathedral, signaling no mercy. Inside the Alamo, William Travis answered with a blast from the fort's 18-pound cannon. Negotiations failed. The siege had begun. For 12 days, the Mexican army bombarded the mission. During the bombardment, James Bowie fell gravely ill, leaving Travis in sole command. The garrison responded with sporadic cannon fire, using whatever they could: horseshoes, nails, and scrap metal as grape shot. Inside, women and children took shelter in the church, including Susanna Dickinson and her infant daughter. Outside, Santa Anna's forces tightened their cordon, building trenches and cutting off escape routes. The small Texian Tejano garrison, expecting reinforcements, held on amid constant shelling from the Santa Anna's cannons. Ever wondered what message Travis sent during the siege? Stay tuned for his famous letter. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If your world was crumbling, would you still pledge victory or death? On February 24th, 1836, Day 2 of the siege, William Barrett Travis wrote a stirring letter to the people of Texas, and all Americans in the world. He reported that the fort had sustained a continual bombardment and vowed never to surrender or retreat, signing off with the words, "Victory or death." His real goal, however, was to plead for help. "I call on you in the name of liberty to come to our aid with all dispatch." Travis sent couriers to Colonel James Fannin at Goliad and to the provisional government. Fannin attempted to march from Goliad with 400 men, but turned back after wagon breakdowns, wandering oxen, and lack of supplies. Only James Butler Bonham, a brave courier, returned to the Alamo on March 3rd to tell Travis incorrectly that Fannin was en route. Meanwhile, the 32 Immortal Gonzales Rangers slipped through enemy lines on March 1st, boosting morale though not numbers. The beleaguered garrison knew reinforcements were unlikely, but they chose to stand their ground. Share this story if you'd answer a call for help. Follow for the next pivotal moment at the Alamo. Don't forget to subscribe to see more videos. Think you know what courage looks like when cannonballs crash around you for 12 days straight? Throughout the siege, life inside the Alamo was a test of endurance. As Mexican guns roared day and night, Engineer Green Jameson patched walls and repositioned cannons. Artillery officer Almiron Dickinson maintained the fort's big guns, while his wife Susanna cared for their infant daughter in a dark room used as a shelter. The garrison rationed scant food and water. Some defenders melted down scrap metal for ammunition. Meanwhile, James Bowie, bedridden with illness, still inspired his men through determination. Outside, Santa Anna's forces dug trenches closer and closer to the fort. Men like Juan Seguin and Matias Curvier risked their lives to slip out as couriers. Inside, the defenders found solace in music, prayer, and camaraderie. The 32 Gonzales Rangers told stories of home while Crockett entertained with his fiddle. Though tired and under siege, they held on to hope that reinforcements might still arrive. Could you endure 12 days under fire? Like, subscribe, and comment if you admire their resilience. Part 7 reveals their last chance at reinforcements. Who were the last to cross enemy lines into the Alamo? Meet the Immortal 32. On March 1st, 1836, a small but determined band of volunteers from Gonzales answered Travis's call. 32 men slipped through Santa Anna's lines under cover of darkness to join the defenders. They were later celebrated as the Immortal 32. Their arrival boosted morale, but barely increased the garrison's numbers. 2 days later, on March 3rd, courier James Butler Bonham returned to the Alamo. Bonham had been sent to find help and rode nearly 200 miles to Goliad and back. He informed Travis that Fannin was supposedly coming with 320 men. Tragically, this intelligence proved false. Fannin's relief column never arrived. The defenders now knew they faced Santa Anna alone. According to later accounts, on March 5th, Travis gathered his men and drew a line in the sand, inviting those willing to stay and fight to step across. All but one reportedly did. With the Mexican assault imminent, this act symbolized the defenders' commitment to stand together. Would you cross the line? Comment your answer, stay tuned for the dawn assault, smash that like button, and subscribe. As midnight struck, silence fell over the fort, but outside, thousands prepared to attack. The night of March 5th, 1836 was eerily quiet. After days of bombardment, Santa Anna's guns fell silent around 10 p.m. According to legend, William Travis assembled his men, told them a final assault was coming, and drew that famous line in the sand. Moses Rose was the only man who left. The rest chose to stay. Meanwhile, Santa Anna organized his army into 4 columns, led by General Cos, Colonel Duque, Colonel Morales, and Colonel Romero. Cavalry under General Sesma prepared to cut down anyone who tried to flee. By 1 a.m., Mexican soldiers assembled in the cold darkness, crossing the San Antonio River and preparing ladders to scale the walls. Inside the Alamo, defenders prayed, sharpened bayonets, and wrote final letters. The battle for Texas's soul was hours away. Feel the tension? Smash that like and subscribe button if you're ready to witness the final battle at dawn. Part 9 brings you inside the fight. Imagine being jolted awake by a bugle call and cries of "Viva Santa Anna!" The final battle has begun. Before dawn on March 6, 1836, Santa Anna ordered a full assault. The Mexican army advanced in 4 columns, targeting the weakened north wall. As they crossed the courtyard, their own musket fire and Texian cannons caused heavy casualties. Inside, Captain John Ball sounded the alarm. William Travis fired his shotgun before being struck in the forehead and killed. Jim Bowie, gravely ill, fought from his bed and was bayoneted. Davy Crockett and his men defended the palisade until overwhelmed. Some accounts say he died fighting, while Mexican officer Jose de la Peña later claimed Crockett and a handful surrendered and were executed. Mexican troops eventually breached the north wall and turned captured cannons on the long barracks. Fierce hand-to-hand combat ensued. Within roughly 90 minutes, the battle was over. All defenders between 189 and 257 were dead, while Mexican casualties numbered around 600. Women, children, and a few slaves were spared. Honor their sacrifice by sharing this story. Smash the like and subscribe button. Part 10 explores the aftermath and legacy. Did the defenders' deaths matter? The answer echoes across centuries. In the smoky aftermath, Mexican officers led surviving women, children, and enslaved people out of the smoldering compound. Susanna Dickinson and her infant daughter were given safe passage and later told General Sam Houston of the fort's fall. The news sparked the runaway scrape, a mass exodus of settlers. Although Santa Anna believed his brutal victory would crush the rebellion, it galvanized Texian resistance. Houston's army, rallying under the cry, "Remember the Alamo, remember Goliad," defeated Santa Anna at the Battle of San Jacinto on April 21, 1836. Securing Texas independence. The Alamo's legacy is complex. Historians note that while the siege delayed Santa Anna's advance, the defenders were not suicidal. They fought hoping for relief. The sacrifice of Texian and Tejano defenders, including heroes like Travis, Bowie, Crockett, Juan Abamillo, and Gregorio Esparza, became a symbol of patriotic courage. Even today, Remember the Alamo evokes determination against overwhelming odds. Remember their story. Like, comment, and subscribe for more dramatic history. Never forget the Alamo.